before we all start, I want to shortly introduce you before you can maybe also say some words about you. I just found out that you were born 1990 in Santiago del Estero, is in the northern part of Argentina. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Perfect. In the end of January. And that's where you grew up. We had just a little short talk before where you said that you didn't play much juniors, probably due to the costs, because of course from traveling from Argentina to Europe to play some tournaments is not the cheapest. We would definitely get back to talk about that as well. And then you made your way to the tennis area and tried to win as many tournaments as possible. You did win some singles and also some doubles tournaments. That's what I also saw. I was very surprised. You double genius. And
once in a while it happens.
Once in a while it happened. Yeah, you're not one of the tallest guys on tour. I don't know how many centimeters, like 1 meter, and how many centimeters is
80,
that?
80 maximum.
Oh, is it 180? Really? I thought you were not 180. Okay, but
no. Could be 79, but it doesn't make any difference.
Okay, yeah, but probably under average, I would say, on tour, because there's a lot of guys that definitely are between 185 and 190. Of course, some extra long people and extra small ones, but okay, perfect. The highest ranking was like 130, 120 something, right?
112 to be exact.
112. Perfect. Okay, then the thing was not like actual. Perfect. Yeah. So that was my short introduction. We just to give a short insight on how we met. We met on the tour, actually, when I was with Yannick Mahd on a tournament. That's how we got to know each other. So you're also a good friend of him. And he said, "Hey Yannick, this is a very, very nice guy." And then that's how we stood in contact. And of course, I saw here and there so your results, and was always happy to see you competing and to see you succeeding. So I give you just a short some seconds for introducing yourself, to add something here if you want to, and then we just start with the first couple of topics.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, as you said, I was born in Argentina. So I was living in Buenos Aires, which is, compared to my hometown, it's completely different, because in my hometown lives only like 3,100 people, which is not that much. If you compare to Buenos Aires, which is nearly 4 million or 5 million, depending on the area where you live. Yeah. And then I lived for over 10 years over there, just working on my tennis, working on my, let's say, on my life, a new kind of life. And then we decided to move with my wife to Europe, which makes things much more easier than if you live at the end of the world, let's say, indirectly like this. So firstly, we lived a few months in Switzerland, then we moved to Barcelona, and then finally we got here in Andorra, where it's our place in the world.
Yeah, very interesting. I mean, moving from Argentina to Europe, that's actually what most of pro players do, especially also like the younger ones. If they really want to compete somewhere, they have like kind of two options: either moving at one point to Europe, because that's just like the center of tennis in regarding how many tournaments are in Europe and how many tournaments are around, like outside of Europe. So I would say like at least 50% of the time is you can play tournaments in Europe. I mean, you can play longer, but like the majority of big tournaments, I would say, is definitely in Europe. So I also have a very young guy. He just came from New Zealand actually to Germany, because he said there's not much competition there, and if you really want to go pro and want to have the competition and want to have good partners and all the tournament setups and stuff, you need to come to Europe. Perfect.
Yeah, or Europe or the US. So basically, there's those two places. But yeah. I mean, you have to move at some point, because otherwise it turns too much in terms of flights or zone time changes, and then also the weather, it changes a lot. So it's definitely the easier way to move to somewhere.
Perfect. We just go from the first day, like not from the 31st of January 1990, but like kind of almost on the first day. My first question is always for the pro players: how did you get into tennis? Because that's always, for me as a coach, interesting to see how people got into tennis. How did that start with you?
So in Argentina, there is a kind of, let's say, type of life, especially in the cities that are not that big, where just the fathers with the sons used to go to the club. We usually have very like big clubs with tennis courts, paddle courts, football, whatever you, swimming pools, whatever you want to have there. So basically, we spend the whole time there, even during the weeks. So it's like a second home.
So your dad
And
was playing tennis already. He took you there.
yeah, exactly. My father
Okay.
was starting to play. He was around 40 or something like that. He was starting to play there. He had no idea how to do it, so he was reading some books or wherever. And then somehow we were. I say we were because I was with my brother also, my older brother and my younger brother. We were watching him, and also my mother started playing. And then we have I don't know how they call it, not even in German or English, but we have the ball, where you can hit with the tennis racket through the ball, and then the ball
Sure.
gives you back the ball, and that's it. It was, and for me, I spent most of the time over there. I mean, no obligation. I was just enjoying the time playing there, and if I was like finding someone else to hit with, then after that I would come back again to the wall or playing ping pong or wherever. So I spent many hours with the racket in my hand.
Oh,
And that's how the whole thing started.
Okay. And then you turned out that you were like more talented than your brother and your brothers, and then they said, hey, this little kid, we wanna get him some lessons, and then
I don't know if it's all about talent. I just spent many more hours than anyone else at that time when I was even like a little child. Let's say that my brother was he used to play like 2 hours maximum a day, and I was playing around 6, more or
with
less.
the wall,
Yeah,
6.
with the ball. I was completely crazy about tennis or ping pong or whatever. So I think there is when the whole difference was made up. So at the end, I mean, if you compare when you are a child, if you compare the amount of hours practicing is at that time is too much. I mean, if you have someone who's hitting as much as I said, then of course he's going to be better than the other one. So
crazy, but that's insane story that you stayed like so long. But when was what age did you start actually? Like at 5, 6?
Well, it could be early. I think probably around 4.
Okay.
Or perhaps 3 maybe. And then my first lessons was when I was 5. Okay. So, but it didn't change that much because I was playing the whole time against the wall or with the other guys. So
okay, but you had any difference. But you had a coach or someone that showed you how to hold the racket, like about the grips and like about the technique, like a basic stuff, and then the rest you were just trying at the wall and doing your stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Then that coach was with me until I was 12. Then he moved to Barcelona. Okay. So, and we are kind of friends now, so we are still in contact. So every time we go for dinner or we have a little practice or a little hit or we talk to each other. So it's a long time friend also. But let's say that he was the first guy who gave me a lesson.
Okay, and then he was the guy also who requested you to come to Barcelona. Was he the guy that helped you to get there, like a practice place and apartment stuff, or?
Not when I decided to move. It was like, let's say I was 25 or something. I was in contact with him before, so he was a big link when I came the first time that I came to Europe just to play tournaments or by my own. It was 2009. So I came to his academy. He was helping me a lot. So I spent 2 or 3 months there. So he was always a big link to come here to Europe. So he was teaching me a lot of things, and then we tried once to work together, but it didn't work out because it just, you know how difficult it is for the relationship between coach and tennis player. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, and this time just it didn't because it was just different point of views, and then that's it. But then we finished the work relationship in a good way, and then we're still being friends.
Nice. Very cool story. About the junior times, because it's also, I get asked as a tennis coach a lot about the juniors. Should they play a lot of Tennis Europe tournaments? How many tournaments they should play? Because, of course, the parents, sometimes they're addicted to the rankings and they say, hey, they need to play tournaments. They need to go out there. They need to do this and that. What is your point of view? Because you actually didn't play any junior. I mean, you played junior tournaments in Argentina and also some like bigger tournaments, like full like nationals and stuff. But what is your opinion about this? Because it's a very interesting topic from a pro player that kind of never played that much of juniors.
I don't trust that much about juniors. It's because you have to be very careful, especially if you are a father or if you are, let's say, an ambitious coach. Yeah. That you look into the ranking is a bit complicated, I guess. So I don't like that much because usually the juniors thinks that the world is completely different. They got used to win. They got used to have things that then in the pro tour it doesn't even exist. Because you go from juniors tournament that they give you food or hotels or whatever, and then you go to futures or I don't know how they go to 10 or 15K or whatever that they don't give. I mean, they don't care at all who you are, what are you doing, if you are playing good or not. They only care if you win. So I think it's a big step. I mean, if you have the opportunity to play, then of course some competition is okay, it's good, because then it's what you are going to do during your whole life if you want to be a professional player. But then if you look too much into the winnings instead of how to improve or whatever, because what really matters is to win in the pro tour level, not in the juniors level, because it doesn't give you anything very much. So it depends also of your geography. Then of course you're not going to play many juniors tournament, because in South America there are not so much. There is only a circuit which is played during, I think it's winter time here and summertime over there, but that's it. Then you have a few more, but not that much. So to play juniors is completely tough in terms of economics, in terms of level also, because I mean everybody knows that the real level is here in Europe. So I think you as long as you can play, it's okay, but you have to be very careful in terms of everything, I think.
Okay. At what time or what age did you start to play then on the Pro Tour? What was your first tournament, like ITF tournament, that you played?
I tried when I was 16.
The wall.
Yeah, after the wall. No, I tried a few qualies when I was 16, but I didn't make it. Then I tried during the whole year. I mean, the whole year, it was around 10 tournaments that we had in Argentina, because it was tough to travel or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I think I passed only one. And then I lost on my first match, and then it was at the mid of 2008, so I was already 18 years old, and then I got my first point on June 24th. I remember because it was my father's birthday. And nice. Then also it was funny because the week after I won my first tournament. So it was I've been from 24th of June, I had no ranking, and then somehow 2 weeks later, I was, let's say, 800 or something like that. So it was a huge change from playing only qualies, or not even known that if I would be able to play qualies because of the ranking, to play some even main draws or whatever. So it was a crazy thing, let's say.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine. Of course, winning a tournament, you get already like a lot of points compared to like, it's the same if you would like make one round in how many, like in 12 tournaments or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even more. I mean, that time, how much did the win give? Did the win was 18 points or 15 or something?
No, it was 12.
12 that time? Okay.
Yeah. But it was a lot also, because it was very tough to get some points, and there were not so many tournaments as there are today.
Yeah,
so
sure.
It was a very good thing.
Yeah. But coming when we're talking about Argentina, tell us about the federation, about support. How did you manage to get some money for travels, or was that just A zero from the federation.
Zero, zero, zero. Not that
So
much. Not even today. There is a mix of thoughts in terms of, supposedly the country is not having a great time in terms of economics, but that is something that is happening pretty much the whole time. So at one point it's a good excuse, but then year after year after year, then it's no longer an excuse. So it's pretty much, it doesn't exist. It doesn't work as a federation. They have some little things trying to work out, but you really never know, because it's a completely, let's say, broken system and broken trust in each other, because it doesn't exist. So basically, if you are good enough to have some support, then you will have it. It was a time that Sabatini and a few more were giving some money to the federation. So they were not giving us, but paying some, let's say, some travels or whatever.
yeah.
But it just zero. It doesn't.
Okay.
The best time was when Del Potro was young, and then a few more guys, but then it just disappeared because it's a disaster, basically.
Okay. Did you play Davis Cup for Argentina?
No, I've been a few times as a sparring.
Okay.
I've been in. So I think it was the year that we won. We won. The Argentina won the Davis Cup. That was in Glasgow, and then the Davis Cup final was in Zagreb. So I was there. It was nice to see the whole thing. And then also the year after, I was in Nur Sultan in Kazakhstan, when we went down to, let's say, second division or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, world group.
So I was at the top of the level, and then a year after we were completely at the other side.
Okay.
But it was fun anyway.
But you were like only as a sparring in the team, or you were also named that you could have played if there were two guys injured?
No, there was no chance to play.
Okay, so just
as a sparring, yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, yeah, then we go further on with your timeline, and in tennis, then of course making it from the future levels to the challenger levels, always like kind of a big stage to make it. I know also with Yannick, like the first win on challenger level is always a big thing. Then of course make it maybe to the quarterfinals of a challenger, because you have to beat a seeded player. They are most likely like kind of between, let's say, 50 and 150. Is a tough thing. How did you like when was for you the transition from the ITF level to the challenger? Because it's not done like in some months or even in some years.
Yeah, we had some little circuit, let's say, in South America, but South America is huge. So
sure.
The travel over there was tough, because let's say we had 10 tournaments over the year, in 10 challengers in Colombia, which is like going from Germany to let's say some part of China, because it's like 6,000 kilometers, and for us that is kind of close. So we were spending most of the time over there, and those tournaments were kind of, let's say, weak, because the cutoff was around 350 or 400 or whatever. So we had some chances to get some wins over there. So that's how it started for me. I was 19 already. I was winning some matches there, won some matches over there, and then, but also then I had some injuries. So I couldn't go further, and then when you're stuck in the level, then you can't go up, and you are in between, so you go down, and then you try to win or whatever. So, but basically, let's say my best year was when I was 22. That I was in January. I was around 350 or something like that, and then on April, on the last tournament that I had the chance to qualify for Roland Garros qualis. That was my first Grand Slam, and then I qualified at being 250 or something like that. So I did it really well in challenges, like playing quarters, and then semis or whatever. So that from that point, then I just stayed there. With some up and downs, but basically playing at that level, Grand Slams, qualis, let's say.
So 22 was already the year when you played French Open the first time?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
22. Yeah.
So like
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
10 years ago now.
Almost 10 years ago already. Jesus, like a life ago.
Yeah. And then of course, like you also had some injuries here and there, probably like every tennis player. Then I saw also you had to go down to like futures at some point, playing some
Exactly.
futures again. Just take the viewers and the listeners to that ride of like being on Grand Slam qualies and then somehow end up on a tournament where like the 17, 18-year kids start and they can also play some tennis.
Yeah, I think it's a huge change because once you are at let's say in the big stage, in a big tournament like Paris is, then you have to come down to the reality. And then it's when you're, if you shake a little bit, then I think you are done. You're that human, and it usually happens also. It happens to me. It happened to many guys as well. Because then it's like when you take the sweet, then you wanna taste it every single time, and then if you don't have it anymore, then it's something on your mind is like not working. Let's say, I mean, you miss that, and then it's I mean, but it's also the reality of tennis. I think it's just one day you're playing good tournaments, and then maybe you have not good, you're not having a good time in terms of tennis or mentality or physically or whatever, and then you go down like 200 spots or 300 spots, and you have to come back again and again and again. It's just how tennis is, because everything depends on you. It's not that somebody else can play for you. It's not somebody else can practice for you. It's not that somebody else can think for you. So that's what it makes it very, very tough in terms of pretty much everything, I mean, in tennis.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. When we were talking about the French Open, I think French Open always has some big part in your life. Of course, when you say it was your first Grand Slam experience, how like just give us a short insight. How was the first like Grand Slam experience for you? Was it a childhood dream from you to like be somewhere at the Grand Slams, or you just played and said, okay, I want to see how far I can get?
No, at that time I don't remember that I was thinking about the dream come true. I was just trying to think, at least, or lying to myself, saying that it was just one more tournament. But from that point, I mean, I just love to play Grand Slams, but not because of like a kind of dream. It's just maybe because I love the atmosphere. I love the I don't know how they say this word in English, but anyway, it's like a big challenge for me, even bigger than playing some other tournament. So it's something that it's just in the veins, it just go inside of myself, and just every time I can, I go. I'm ready to play Grand Slam. Somehow I play better. One of my best tennis is play there. So, which is at some point is very good, but then it makes me think how I couldn't do it in the Challenger Tour, because it's something that it's not. I mean, the Challenger Tour is not a tour that I won many tournaments, not even close. So it means that I have to improve a lot there to try to go up and play some 250s or perhaps some main draw in Grand Slam, but being directly accepted, not playing through qualis.
That's always the dream for all the players, to be directly in the main draw, so don't have to go to the qualifiers, because of course the qualis it's tough. It's very, very tough. It's three matches against players, between let's say 100 and 200 basically, and
also there is a lot of pressure, and you're nervous. It's not like a normal tournament, and you have press conference that you probably never had in Challenger or other tournaments or whatever. So it's a huge change, and you have to be ready mentally to go through that. But yeah, it's true that if you play 3 matches, then with the pressure and whatever, it makes it even tougher when you get into the main race, and then you see the rest of the guys completely fresh, arriving to the tournament, and I said, "Jesus!" But then hopefully I can make it once in my life.
Perfect. So I'll just show the people a short video about what happened 3 years ago now. You were playing the qualifiers in Paris. You lost the qualification final. Then there's always, after losing the last round of qualifications, there is a draw that is made for all the losers for being maybe able to play, getting a lucky loser spot. And then, I mean, if you're first lucky loser, you always go in. Maybe second, third also have big chances. After 4 or 5, it gets like kind of not really hopeful. And you were position what, 8 or like what was your position?
No, 12.
12, okay, position 12. So and then Marco decided, oh, 12, okay. I mean, I would also say the same. It's the chance is not there. I mean, 12 people to pull out of the main draw, it's not gonna happen. So Marco went back to Barcelona, where he was living at the time, and then something happened, and I will show you the video now.
Quite amazing. If it wasn't for my wife, she uploaded the photo on Instagram or Facebook, then nobody would ever know that we made such a good trip. And it was beautiful for me because I had my grandma on the car, my mom on the car, and also my brother. That's especially because I'm living in Barcelona, that's not happening so often. The trip was quite okay because I drank my coffee, so everything was perfect, no traffic at all. And then while I was getting ready, at least mentally, for the match. She was very nervous, like as always. And I think now hopefully she's happy, but she needs to sleep a bit because last night all of us we didn't sleep. I knew that if I got nervous on these kind of matches, then there's a chance to lose a set or something like that. That is especially with people who serving very well. At the beginning, I was relaxed. I was feeling the ball quite okay.
Siempre se lo vive nervioso, ¿no? Es bastante complicado disfrutar el partido, aunque sería lo lindo, pero bueno, acá estamos para eso, somos la familia.
Muy nerviosa, me pongo muy nerviosa, pero estoy feliz, feliz.
I think I'm going to rest, at least tonight and tomorrow for practice, and then ready for Wednesday.
So yeah, that was a short video to take all the people into the ride to see like what is it about, and also that's what you just said about the Grand Slam. Of course, if these stories happen, then they make a video, they make a zap. Like how do you feel like watching that little Mats?
It reminds me a lot. Yeah, it reminds me a lot. Yeah, it was fun to watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a huge. I remember that for me it was quite normal because for us in Argentina to travel 800 kilometers is not that much. Then probably I figured out like 2 years later that I was completely crazy to do that, because I remember that I traveled from Braunschweig to Umag, which is around 1,000 kilometers or something like that. And when I got there, then the day after I went to practice and I was completely destroyed. So then I figured out, and then this was huge. And I mean the trip to Paris was completely a different kind of life, let's say. But yeah, just in terms of the lucky losers or whatever, I went back to Barcelona. Also, I was suffering from my back. So basically, one of the reasons that I got into the main draw was that year. I think they changed some rules that in terms of the effort, that if you went into the court and not giving your 100% effort, then they would take you out at half of prize money or even more. So I think many guys were kind of injured or whatever, and they didn't want to play. Some
True.
others went to a challenger in Vicenza or Venezia or Mestre, I think it was. But of course, if you are in Europe and you are not from there, then you have to keep playing. It's a good tournament to play because there are not top 100 players over there. So it's a good tournament to play, but I was completely destroyed. That's why I didn't play. And then one of the reasons also that we went by car was because it was they were having some problems also in France with the trains and with the flights. So
yes, they were striking.
Really, yeah, it was striking, and then I took the car, and then I figured out that I was in when we were driving already 2 hours. So when we were at the border between Spain and France, then we saw the news in Twitter or whatever that I somehow I got in, but then I had to arrive to Paris and then go to the club at the next morning to sign up. And that's it. And then we went directly to the court because it was first match of the day. It was at 11 o'clock. It was tough because I couldn't sleep. I wasn't practicing for the last 3 days almost. I wasn't eating properly because I was eating barbecues or whatever because I was done. So not the best preparation for the match. Not even close.
Yeah. And then, and then you played. You took your brother and your mother and your grandmother, right? So that was
grandmother,
the. And
they were visiting me, yeah. So most of the
full
time, my brother was driving, and then I did it for a couple of hours because I just needed to think about nothing.
Yeah, very nice. And then you arrived. You arrived midnight in Paris, right? Almost like midnight. At midnight, came in there, checked in the hotel, and then went to sleep. What was the next day when you had to play the match? Right, the next day. At what time were you put on? Did they put you on last, later at least?
No. It was first match. First match at 11. So
that's insane.
Insane. It was a disaster. Also, we had some. Kind of good dinner, but it wasn't good because we had dinner at the it was a autogrill, you know.
Yeah. Of course, autogrill.
In the middle of the highway. So imagine it was the quality was not the best one, not even close. And then we got at midnight until I could sleep was around 2 a.m. or something like that. Got up at 6:30. And then we decided with my coach to make a longer warm up because I wasn't practicing for the last 3 days, so I had to
hit some more balls.
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Hit more balls than usual. That's it. And then when I didn't have any social network at that time, so for me it was normal. But when I got to the club at the morning, the people was looking at me and was laughing. I said, "Congratulations!" I said, "For what?" I didn't do anything. I just took the car and we drove a few hours, but that's it. And then again, when I went to the locker room, the guys in the locker room were laughing. With me, not at me.
Yeah, sure.
And also some other guys, and then that's it. It was not many time to think about anything. I remember that I took 3 coffees or something like that because I was completely slept. And then the whole thing started to come up later when I won.
Okay.
So
you play.
Then the guy from the press conference came to me and said, "Okay, you have a few press conferences that you have to do." I said, "Okay, there is no problem, but you're gonna get around 1 hour or something like that. 1 hour for a guy that is not top is too much. Usually it's 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes maximum."
Yeah.
And then when I got there, it was completely crazy. So I went from one to another one to another one. I remember that they gave me the biggest hall for the press conference. It was full of journalists. It was a different kind of story. And then I went to some other interviews or whatever, and then it continued. It was huge. Yeah.
That was, of course, it was a story for just for a fun moment, and then of course you won the match. You played against Bernard Tomic, right? That was the draw, which is on clay, not the worst draw. Of course, he's a very good player and good server, but with him you never know. And then on clay, I think was for you makeable kind of, but still very tough.
Exactly,
of course.
exactly. Also, he wasn't willing to play long rallies, which helped me a lot. But then also that year he qualified in Paris. So usually, I mean, to qualify in the Grand Slam, you have to be playing very good. Otherwise,
okay, he was qualified. I didn't know
yeah,
that he was qualified.
Yeah, he qualified. So he had some good rhythm already.
Yeah.
But that's it. It worked out.
To just take the viewers all on the same page with the press conferences on the Grand Slams, as you said, they have to do a press conference, and of course, if you're like in qualies playing there, I mean, if there's like 5 journalists sitting in the same room with you, it's already a good press conference. They ask you how did you feel, how was the match, blah blah blah, and then after like 15 minutes, any more questions? No, okay, then you go.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's mandatory, which is something that over the last year, because I think the whole thing with Osaka was huge, and so it's mandatory. You have no choice to say no, and if you say no, you have to pay. So that is something that probably has to change over the year, because the questions are always the same. The journalist has to make you the question. You have to answer the question, and then it gets boring at some point, because it's always
it's just more an annoying thing that comes with the match and an press conference. Okay, I mean, it's just I can just send my coach there. He can answer all the questions.
And I don't. It takes you an hour or something like that, because you have to go from one stadium to the other one, and it's a lot, because you have to play immediately the next day.
Exactly, and they tell you the time. They say, hey Marco, in 45 minutes it's there, and then if you want to do your cooldown, if you want to eat, if you have to make the plans like they want you to make the plans, and that's also
exactly. So basically, you have a choice to do it right away, which is not the best one for sure, or you can do it maximum 2 hours later. But sometimes it's not enough time to cool down, to stretch, ice bath, physio, and eat.
Yeah.
So something you have to skip, and then just it gets complicated.
Yeah, very, very interesting. And then you played the second round. Unfortunately, you lost the second round. Probably everyone was watching that match and hoping and cheering for you, because of course in Paris everyone just said, "Hey Marco, let's go." That fairy tale story. So, and then you played. I forgot against whom you played in the second round there.
Cecchinato.
Exactly, against Cecchinato, and this guy in that year had slightly a run. So beating Djokovic was in the quarters, I believe, and make it to the semifinals. So. It was okay that you lose to that guy. I mean, he had a pretty.
I didn't want to, but the boy was completely destroyed anyway. So I had only the chance to win in 3 sets, and then I remember that I lost the first one 6-1, and then on the second one I had some chances, and I lost 7-6, and then ciao. There was no more strength.
No more power. And then you did go back by car. Back to Barcelona.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course.
The day after, of course.
Coming with the car cannot stay in Paris, so of course the whole trip went back to Barcelona. Exactly. Very nice. And then tell me one thing, because when we talked before, you said you moved to Andorra. How did that come up? That you moved from Barcelona to Andorra, and what was the reason for that?
Because with my wife, we love the mountains, and then in Barcelona there is no mountains, just a few little things, not too much, but we love also the cold, and but not just the cold. I mean, with cold with sun. So it's a tough combination in Europe, I think. And then we found out that this place Andorra exists. So we came one day in September or something like this. It's a very, very teeny country.
Of course.
Around 80,000 people, which is nothing. And then the town where we live only lives around like 30 people maximum. So there is no one here, which is for us is perfect. And then that's it. We decided in one day that we had to come here, because one of the thoughts that we usually have is, okay, when I retire, I want to live here. I want to be here in the mountains or whatever. And we said, why not now? Because we don't want to wait 10 more years or whatever just to start living our lives. You don't really know when you are gone. So,
100%. Live your life, exactly. Every day matters. And but where are you
Exactly.
practicing then? Have you built your own tennis court there and practicing with a ball machine,
we
or
have-
back to the wall? You went back to the wall, or what?
No, we have also, there is Ramos Viñolas,
Yeah.
you know, the Spanish guy.
Sure.
He's living also here, so
Okay.
we practice. We have one facility that has pretty much everything, but only one court. But there are not so many players, only the two of us, so we can practice as much as we want. The quality of the court is pretty good, so for practice it's perfect, and for the fitness is even better. We have altitude here. I live. We are in 1.6
Okay.
thousand. So every time I want to take a run or whatever, I just have to go up, because here in Andorra everything is just going up or down. So if you are not fit, then you're gonna pay it. So there is no chance. And every single time I have a day off or something, then I go to the mountains also. So it's kind of workout for me. But I don't go to the gym. I hate. I've been already 700 hours in the gym, and I don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah. Very nice. Before we come to the last topic about the betting and the manipulation in tennis, which is also a topic that you were involved in the last couple of years, and also like of course we hear every day of players like putting screenshot on Instagram about like what they get messages after the match. Even if they won a match, they get kind of harassed and stuff. We'll show a video, of course, from John McEnroe. He was putting a small video about you as well, which I find pretty interesting, and I'm definitely the same opinion than he has. But before we do that, we'll do a rapid fire questions. So I give you like about 10 questions, and you just put out like right away an answer.
Okay.
What you think? Okay. So it's mostly tennis related. So what's your favorite all-time tennis player?
Sampras.
Sampras, okay. You have one last tournament that you can play in your career. Which tournament would that be?
Paris.
Paris? Roland Garros, okay. Favorite soccer?
I have to say it.
Okay. Your favorite soccer team? Are you interested in soccer?
Not that much. More in basketball.
Okay, favorite basketball team?
Now the Mavs, Dallas Mavericks.
Okay, well, nice. Your toughest tennis opponent ever?
Oh, I lost 700 times against Arnaboldi.
Really? Against Arnaboldi?
I lost like 6 times already. So I'm just waiting for the time this guy retired, so I don't have to face him, I guess.
You choose tournaments where he doesn't enter. Very nice. But you played, as we saw in the highlights before, you played Rune and Alcaraz and Dimitrov. You played Nishikori and like one of these guys that you have to say something exceptional about.
Not just this Alcaraz. I mean, it's pretty obvious that everybody is seeing a huge potential on him.
Yeah.
But then Dimitrov was a long time ago. Let's say like six years ago or something like that. Rune, this guy is competing extremely well. It doesn't seem that he played. Maybe now everybody sees it. But then before, he didn't look like he was having a great tennis or unbelievable tennis or something like that. But mentally, the guy was competing unbelievable well. So now I think he got some confidence and he's going up very, very quickly. He had some very, very good victories. So he's going to.
But you beat Alcaraz, right? The match against Alcaraz, you kicked his ass.
Yeah, it was this year, in February, I think, in Canaria.
Exactly. So not even like 3 years ago when he was like 12. No, it was this year when he played.
He was good already. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Rapid fire back again. Your favorite shot in tennis?
Volley.
Really? Oh wow.
Oh yeah.
Topspin volley or normal volley?
No, normal volley.
How is your opinion about topspin volley?
Topspin volley, I like
Drive
it.
volley. You like it?
I think it's very useful.
Okay, just because I have one viewer in the chat always he's asking about the topspin volley or volley. So here, Alex, you see it's used because he's against topspin volley. So.
Okay, the girls are using it a lot, and they use it a lot in a good way, I think.
No, I
I'm
mean
not
also
using a lot, but I think it's a good shot. Yeah.
even in the highlights, I think it was against Dimitrov you retired, right?
Yeah. No.
Was it
No, I don't remember. No, it was against
Nishikori? No, against Nishikori, I think. And then
yeah.
you played serve and volley from the baseline. That's what I saw in the highlights. You served, and then the ball came to the baseline. You played top spin volley from the baseline. I really love that one. Which shot would you love to master? Like, which tennis shot is the shot that you say, oh, it's like I miss it a lot, and I would love this shot to have it in my repertoire?
Sometimes I forgot it to use it, but the short angle.
Okay.
You know when you hit very, very short angle from
Sure.
both sides? Sometimes I forgot it. I have it, but I just wish to use it much more because it makes me feel better. I don't know why.
Yeah, because
Even
probably
if I
you
lose
would.
it. Yeah,
Okay.
but even if I lose the point, then I don't care because it just felt better for me.
Felt good. Okay. The prettiest female player. Wait till your wife is not in the same room.
No, my wife is always here, so she doesn't care that much. Yeah, he's a favorite female player. I mean, prettiest.
Prettiest.
She says Jeannie Bouchard could be.
Yeah, you agree? Okay.
Yeah.
And the last question that is also that I like to ask tennis pros: if you could change one thing in your tennis career when you go back to earlier stages, what would you change?
Move earlier to Europe for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, not at the age that I did it, but probably at 22, 21, because I knew already that I wanted to live here, to stay here.
Okay.
And I wasn't enjoying going back home in Argentina, so that's for sure.
Okay.
Perfect. I have one rapid question for you. Did you see because I just we saw yesterday, we finished there's a Netflix documentary, the $1 billion code from Berlin.
No, I didn't see it yet. No.
Okay. But it's from Berlin, so okay.
I need to watch it. It's good.
Yeah, I like it. It's, it just it's only about 4 episodes. So but it's from there, so you have to know it.
Okay. I will definitely look into it.
Mandatory, yeah.
Mandatory. Okay, guys, we're gonna watch the little video shortly, and then we have a last 5 to 10 minutes talking about the betting in tennis, and then we are almost done. Guys, enjoy the short video from the one and only Commissioner John McEnroe.
What the? Come on. He can't be serious. The self-appointed commissioner of tennis is going to talk about a player he has the utmost respect for, Marco Trungelliti. Remember him from last year's French Open? Yeah, this guy, Jesus with a perm who's eaten too many burgers.
And actually, yeah, I just want to say this guy looks like a bank robber like that on that picture.
Remember him? The guy who drove 1,000 kilometers with his mom, brother, and grandma to get a last-minute place in the main draw? This year, Marco came back to Paris alone. No crying grandma in the stands to see him lose in the qualifying. Worse than that, in 12 months, Marco's contagious smile is gone. He is now a broken man, ostracized by a lot of his peers and harassed on social media. Why? Because Marco's an honest man who told the truth and did the right thing. It all started in 2015 when Marco was approached by that fat bald guy with a big cigar who made an offer he couldn't refuse, making a lot of money for fixing matches. But Marco did refuse, and he went straight to the Tennis Integrity Unit. An investigation started, and the phone of the fat guy was tapped. Fast forward to 2018. In the end of the investigation, which uncovered a tsunami of fixed matches at the lower levels of professional tennis. Trungelliti was a witness at the trial of 2 Argentinian players who were suspended for 6 and 5 years. Since then, Marco's been vilified and called a snitch. He was abused on social media, so much so that he doesn't dare to play in South America anymore. Sergei Stakhovsky, ATP player representative, took to Twitter with this gem. Thin line between whistleblower and snitch. All depends who is the judge. If that's not a veiled threat, are we in a mafia movie or something? In the tennis world, are you a snitch when you denounce corruption? Shut the up, Sergey! And you and your ATP council should be building Marco a statue. He's the only one brave enough to talk about this plague that is slowly destroying our sport. Am I hearing any voices to defend him? Some big names? Maybe? Prize money in the challengers is so low that the temptation to make much more by fixing matches is obviously huge. This level of professional tennis is already rotten to the core. Top-level tennis is almost a different world. But just remember this, if you let the base of the pyramid crumble, the whole thing could collapse.
Okay, yeah, wise words from this little guy, the commissioner that he calls himself in the Grand Slams, and talked about it. Did you have the chance of talking to him actually, or did he because on the slams he's always here and there, he appears sometimes?
Yeah, but I didn't have the chances. I just remember that I saw him from far away, and I was too. I mean, I don't know exactly how to say the word, but it just I didn't want to disturb him because I didn't to interrupt him or whatever. And also I was playing only the qualifications from that point. I mean, I wasn't able to play as I wasn't good mentally. Then I wasn't able to play not even close to my best tennis. So and he also he's not in qualis. He always goes to the main draw. So to have the chance to see him, you have to be main draw, and then that didn't happen. And then it came COVID, so ciao.
So ciao. Yeah. So get back. Let's get back to that topic. So I didn't know, but that you even got offered like a match fixing thing. Like, just give us an insight how that happened and how people approach you to give you money and how much money, if you want to talk about it. How was that?
Yeah, I can tell you everything because I have no problem. So basically, it wasn't only one. It was about 2 occasions, and the first one was the one the Argentinians were involved. So that organization was completely different than the second one because the Argentinians were much more, let's say, they didn't take it seriously in terms of organization because they were telling me with who they were working. I mean, with which players. So that's when they told me about Korea and Eras and then Kicker and a few more. But then we know that these 3 guys got suspended. So they offered me around like 2,000 and then to 5,000 in futures and then up to 10,000 in challengers.
For losing the match or for losing a set?
No, for losing the match.
Okay.
So basically, they offer you like a kind of a sponsorship. Is the way they contact me by Facebook. So that's why I agreed to have the meeting. But then immediately after the meeting, I mean, in five minutes, they were just telling me these kind of things. Okay, we wanted to fix some matches, and then we're gonna give you have to give us a contact, confidence that we give him. So we give him the money because it was all about cash. Couldn't be transfer or whatever because it was a record.
Sure.
And then that's it. That's how it works. Supposedly they tell you that no, you're gonna take a decision which matches are you gonna fix or something like that. So they kind of, I think they lie you because otherwise it's nearly impossible. So and then they were contact me a few times more, especially when I was about to face a guy who's lower ranked than me. So I didn't reply. I just sent directly the screenshots to the TIU at that time, the Tennis Integrity Unit. But they were already running an investigation against these 3 Argentinians. So then after an year or no, a year. No, it was around 2 years. We were in Barcelona already with my wife, and then the TIU contact me directly saying that they want me to be at the trial, which personally was a very tough decision. But then I decided to do it because it was bigger than just myself. That's what I thought. And also I thought the ATP was going to act different, and also ITF, and also the tennis integrity, which mainly they didn't care at all about the whole thing. And so
Yeah.
what the whole problem started when they showed my face in the trial. So the other Argentina were able to see me, and then when the whole thing just was completely started to get crazy, because one of the guys was spreading the whole thing that I was at the trial, and supposedly I was a liar, and then supposedly I was fixing matches, and that's the reason why I was collaborating with the TIU, which is of course is a big lie. And then that's it. That was the whole thing with the Argentinians. That's why it's tough to me to come back and to play tournaments in South America. So I don't want to. I'm not feeling comfortable to go in there. Maybe I go one day, but it's not something that I enjoyed. So basically, South America from that point, it was completely blocked for me. In the personal way. Some maybe because I was afraid at the beginning, and then also I had some issues when I went to a 250 tournament in Cordoba in Argentina, where the father of Coria was like looking in a very bad way to my wife, and it was I think it was completely coward from him and from his family, and also from this guy Federico Coria as well. So it was a very tough situation, and also seeing that many Argentinians were supporting him or supporting them was also tough to see. Um, so I have to somehow swallow at one point, and then, but it took me a while. It took me around like 2 years to be kind of good, but I wasn't good and not even close. So my wife was supporting me, and then she was helping me a lot to try to be happy again in the tennis court. Because at some point it was too much. And then the other one was also like 7 months around after the first approach that I had from the Argentinians, but this one was completely different because it was kind of, I don't know if it was Russian or Georgian or Armenian or whatever. I had no idea because the guy supposedly had 700 different passports. And this guy was also offering me pretty much the same in terms of sponsorship, and telling me that no, you're gonna decide which matches you wanna fix or something like that. But this guy was offering me around like 50,000 or and 100,000 to fix a match. So it's a big and huge difference.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, the way this guy was, let's say, doing the job was much more professional than the Argentinians. That's why
Okay.
this guy. I mean, immediately when I contacted TIU, they told me directly, there is nothing we can do with this guy. So that's it. That's how it ends.
Okay. Interesting. I mean, yeah, interesting on the way of knowing like behind the scenes and how that came up. Of course, it's tough tough decision that you had to make if you want to testify against other like players. But of course, I mean, if people are fixing matches and getting money out of it, it's not healthy for the sport. And
No, not even no. Also, the TIU didn't really, let's say, take care of myself. They
okay.
just showed my face. They just used me, and then that's it. That was the worst part. And also,
Was the
just
tennis side
to
was them that they put it out in the media?
yeah, no,
Okay.
no. I mean, at the end, but because we were already warning them that the way the Argentinians think about this, that if you report something, then you are a bad guy, and they can, let's say, they can hurt you, like
Yeah.
because it's the way we think. I mean, they are not guilty because the way they were fixing matches, even if they fixed already like 300 matches, they don't care about this. The only guilty is the one who made the report.
Sure.
It's the way we thought in our society, or in the majority of our society. Then the TIU didn't care about this, didn't take care, didn't look into it, nothing. And then after, let's say 3 months later, when the whole thing was completely going crazy, then they decided to make an announcement and make it public that I was, let's say, helping the TIU to go through this trial or something like that. But then it was already too late, and the damage to my mind was already too much.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I can imagine.
that's why I got injured for like around 6 months that year. And then I came back. It's the year that I qualified in the US Open after not winning not even one match. I went to the US Open, I qualified, and then immediately I got injured. So it was a tough year, very, very tough year.
Can imagine. One last thing, because there was a question from a viewer, and we finish with that question because you have to go to the dinner soon. She asking, what can you tell us something about your 0% gluten business?
Yeah. Yeah, we have one. We are running one here in Andorra. It started on November from last year, so in the middle of the COVID situation.
Okay.
So we started. It was a business that my wife has intolerance to the gluten, and also myself, not that much, but also I'm part of that team.
Okay.
So we actually, she found out that it was no bakeries here about gluten free, not even a place that you can go to eat gluten free. So we found a franchise in Vic, which is close to Barcelona, and then we decided to do it, and then here we are, still alive.
So you getting products from there and sell it over there, or how the? Like...
No, we make the production. We get the I don't know, the wheat, we said.
Yeah.
So we have the guys who are doing it, and we do some breads, pizza, the whole kind of things that you can find in the bakery, croissants, pretty much everything that you can find in a coffee store, with
Nice.
like a sandwich, or we have some salads also, some pasta. So it's a complete program for everybody, I think.
Baker Trungelliti. I love it. I love the idea. Very, very nice.
Yeah, the most important thing is that we have good coffee. So
that helps for the croissant to have a good coffee next to it. Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marco, thank you very much for the talk. It's been already like an hour, and was a pleasure to talk to you. It was fun. I hope it was informative for the people out there with some interesting topics. And again, thank you so much. Wish you all the best, of course, for the next upcoming tournaments. What is planned for you for the next tournament?
I had no more tournaments because I got a stress fracture on one of my feet, my left foot, on the last tournament that I was playing in Spain. So from that point, I have 2 months off, nearly. Okay. And also, I was suffering from my hip since Wimbledon, because I fell down in a bad way. So let's say, damaged my labrum. So it was a perfect time just to completely stop, and then try to be at least kind of healthy for the next year, because this year was also, in terms of injury, was completely disaster, let's say.
That's what Yannick also told me. Like, this guy can play unbelievable tennis, but he's injured on his back here, there, and always has problems here and there.
Yeah. So hopefully, let's say that maybe, I don't know, I'm just hoping that next year, or probably the year after, I can play at least, I don't know, 25 tournaments in a good shape, in a good way, and just to have the chance to break into the top 100 and just prove myself when I wanted to be. So
100%.
But the main important thing is to be healthy, because otherwise, yeah. So that's 100%. The main goal, and then from that point we see what we can do.
Perfect. All the best wishes from me and from my side, also from my viewers. Definitely the best wishes of getting healthy soon, and then playing a solid year. Whenever I'm going to Andorra, I'll definitely ring your bell, and I'll just look for one of these 30 people in that little town and just looking for the Trungelliti bakery store.
Don't forget to bring some skis or snowboard. So.
Okay. Is it already?
No, not already. I mean, in the middle of the mountains, it is.
Okay.
But it will snow probably in a week or a week and a half.
Okay.
So you can come and I will watch you because I have no idea how to do it.
Perfect. Marco, again, thank you so much for joining, for tuning in, for giving us the insight about the tour. I really highly appreciate it. Take care, have a good dinner, enjoy, say hello to your wife and to your mom and grandma, and we'll keep in touch. Thank you for having you here. Thank you very much, Marco. Take care. Ciao.